Raw, Mike Richards on Newstalk Sauga 960. You know, anytime Chris Houston makes a suggestion, like I never really know what's coming. It's like facing a baseball pitcher who has like way more than one pitch. So I can't just wait for a fastball. I gotta, what is that he's throwing? Is he standing backwards? What is that he's doing now? I just really never know what's coming my way, which is why I love it, because the books are varied, the topics are varied, the authors are varied. And even if you think you know the story, on this one, I can guarantee you don't, because I thought I would have. Now, I know Michael's going to join us, or David and Michael, in just a second here. We're going to get our cameras ready to go, and we are going to go ahead with a story that is called Love Will Out. So sometimes you get a background. So guys will send you a presser ahead of the time and give you an idea of who this author is. So number one, another East Coast author, which we love. It's like our favorite thing. And I see it almost the subtitle, Love Will Out, is a Newfoundland story. So right away, I think I know, right? I think I know. Then I look at the background of David Michael himself. So a musician. So I love that, growing up in a musical house. He's been a teacher. My father's a teacher. My dad was a choir master. He's a choir master. Owned a bar. Okay. I think we're all good here. I think we know where I'm going with this one. So I'm starting to listen to and read the what I believe I know. So I'm thinking I have a pretty good idea what this love story from Newfoundland. I have a pretty good idea how this is going to play out. No, not even close. I'm reading the details. I'm like, what am I reading here? What is this? Pre-Confederation. My brother's like a history teacher, and that is one of his areas. This story is so unique and so different, and has so many different pieces of what really Canada is. So this is based on at least 90% of it, a good portion of it, on his family's background. See, this is what makes Canada, Canada. This book is 100% representative of the stories we think we know and don't. It's why you buy the book. And now we're joined right now by David Michael. Good morning. And boy, I just love the background. Before I even turn a page, you have a great life story.
Awesome, man. Thanks very much. Welcome to my my man cave here.
Yes.
I'm going to card it up for you, but lethargy kind of stepped in, and you're going to have to take it for what it is.
Hey, I got just a tip: don't drop a match. By the looks of things, that
it's the best out. It's where I do all my music and all my my writing and things, and all family heirlooms, and it's like the dump hole here in the house, but. You know, it's my place, so like it's all good. It
is good. It's your stronghold. I love that, and an interesting background. How does someone become a student of French literature at the Sorbonne in Paris, a choir master, a teacher, a musician? This is quite a background, David. And I said I'm very sort of in tune with it, because a lot of it has to do with the background of my family. Very, very, very similar.
Yeah, well, a lot of people have accused me of having a short attention span, Mike. So I seem to go from kind of, I don't know, I'm kind of an entrepreneur, you know, always have been, and a musician, kind of, and now I'm a writer. And so it's, I don't know, it's just I kind of, I go along, I find something I like, I go into it, I say, okay, that's what that is, and now let's try something else. And, you know, kind of adventures. I like challenges. I like being creative. I have to be doing something creative, and I've done so many things, and I'll be writing about that. Actually, that's what I'm doing right now, kind of retired, and I'm kind of writing about my life and my family's life. Like the book Love Will Out starts, that's my mom and dad's story. It's not my story, but after that, my other books will be kind of about me. So you're going to be sick and tired of hearing me, Mike.
Well, I'm certainly not looking at this when you look at sort of the background of it. So when you understand the story of Canada, certainly pre-Confederation, there are similar stories in that, where people have come from, what their family backgrounds are. So there's an assumption, like I made, that I would know what the story is. But when I see, for instance, the actual background of the immigrants themselves and how they come together, this is a unique story. I mean, storylines that are similar into, you know, someone comes from Scotland, someone comes from Ireland, someone comes from Italy, someone comes from, but this isn't any of that. This union is something that is very unique to your family, and yet I think again, what makes Canada special in many, many different ways. And when you look at creative writing, when you look at sort of intrigue and the genesis of where stories come from, you stayed within your own family tree and you have a great story nonetheless.
Yeah, it's my mom's family, Jewish, Polish, Jewish, and dad's family is Christian Maronite Lebanese from Lebanon, obviously. And they came over the end of the 19th century, beginning of the 20th century. And my grandfather, he left Poland for much the same reasons as what's going on in the Ukraine right now. Those poor people, they were running away from the Russians because the Russians were always interfering with Polish affairs and Ukrainian affairs and everything else. So his parents sent him away for a better life, which is really what's happening now. It's kind of, plus ça change, still la même chose.
Yes.
So it's,
Yes.
And he came over here, Newfoundland, went to New York first, then came to Newfoundland. And my Lebanese ancestors, they came over kind of the same thing, being persecuted. And they never kind of really had their feet, firmly on the ground, because being Christians in an Arab world is not easy, especially back 100 and 120 years when this first started. So they came over here to St. John's looking for a new life, and they landed in St. John's. I won't go into all the details that happened, but they got in St. John's. They had children, and my parents were a product of that union, and that's where the story begins in Love Without.
Well, now, why Newfoundland? Now, the reason is, I've talked to Sean Majumder many times, and he always makes jokes about being a poofy, as he calls as he calls himself. But so, why would your parents, of all places? I mean, Canada's a big country. How did they end up in Newfoundland?
Well, it was like they ran away, right? My basically they were running away, and they wanted to come to the New World, and like my Polish Jewish grandfather, he went to New York first because he had relatives there, and he's a ladies' tailor. He became a ladies' tailor. His boss sent him up the coast, up around New England, up to Nova Scotia and up to Newfoundland, looking for furs for the ladies' coats. He got into St. John's. He goes, "Oh my God, like there's money here, but they've got no amenities that we have in New York. I can make a fortune here," right? So he goes, "Okay, I'm going to stay here." Brings his wife up. His wife takes a look at the place. Says, "No bloody way am I staying here. I don't understand anything anybody's saying. They got no electricity." So she hightails it back, and he stays in St. John's with one of his kids. They've split up the family, and so that's how he got there. And my Lebanese kind of relatives, they came over, as I say, kind of got down finally to Cairo after going backwoods and everything else. And got there, and basically the first port of call was Newfoundland. So Newfoundland's a new world, let's go. So they landed there, and there was also a history of Lebanese kind of coming there over the the previous century kind of thing. There are a lot of Lebanese in Nova Scotia, all kinds of Lebanese, and in Newfoundland there are as well. There are Lebanese in Newfoundland, there are Jewish in Newfoundland. But my family, my mom and dad, the only ones were they intermarried, which is unusual today, let alone 120 years ago, having a Jew marry a Christian Lebanese. It's a very unusual story.
Well, it's as they said, sometimes you have to look under rocks for a story, and yours is hanging right off the family tree, so to speak. I mean, it's right. And here's what I think too is interesting when you talk about first, when you first go to Newfoundland, if you're really not used to it, it reminds me of something. My family's background is Irish, and I read a lot about the Irish history, and it's funny. I think it was Julius Caesar. So they go across all of Europe, and they take all of Europe, and it's taken them all these years to conquer everything that's in front of them. And they finally get to Ireland, and they're there for like an hour, and they go, "Christ, you guys can have it." I think we've got enough. This is where we stop. It's like
the Romans and the Jews have that in common, right? That's enough. I'm getting out of here. Mike, have you ever been to Newfoundland?
No, I've been asked a million times, and guys like Stephen Brunt, who I've known forever, has a
Oh, Steve's an old
yeah,
friend of mine.
yeah. Stephen says, "Oh God, you'd love it." He said, if your background's Irish and you got the gift of the gab and you like the social stuff and you like the talking, he said, I just cannot believe that you have not been there. It's one of the places that I haven't got to. My parents have been there, my in-laws have been there. I have not got there because I know I want to go in the summer. This I know. I think I got to go in the summer, but I'd love to go. Absolutely.
I'm sure they'd let you in, Mike.
Well, that's always debatable. Hey, I was talking about the pearly gates this morning, David, and I said anyone who's behind me is going to have a bit of a wait because I'm going to have to talk my way in. There's some things I have to dance around, so
Mike, listen, I tell you, next year, the summer, that's the time to go, right? There's a Writers Festival at Woody Point. I was one of the writers there this summer. Steve Brunt runs it. Okay, next year is the 20th anniversary. Sheila Rogers is the MC there. Everybody's there, kind of. Every famous Newfoundlander is there, right? And next year is the 20th anniversary. If you're going to go, go then, because that would be an awesome. Brunt will tell you all about it and give you the details. So I'm going to be there, and
wonderful.
A lot of famous people, Rick Mercer, Mary Walsh. I mean, you name it.
Oh,
they're all going to be there. So it's a good time for you to go.
That sounds lovely. So this book is available everywhere, Chris. I mean, what are we talking? How do we get this book? How do we get the book?
You can get it at Amazon.ca in Toronto. Book City has it. DavidMichael.ca. You can also get directed. It's published by Inglewood Press, and we're now working to get it into some local Chapters Indigo stores in Toronto and St. John's. And speaking of famous, Newfoundlanders, Wayne Johnston, who's considered one of the greatest Canadian writers of all time, he wrote Colony of Unrequited Dreams. He reviewed David's book and called it a unique and captivating love story of a kind that I've never read or seen before. That is exactly right on. This is whether truth is stranger than fiction, I don't know, but this is a true story that has inspired a novel. It's one of those tricky books. It's not 100% a memoir. It's not a history book. Thank heavens, history books are not my bag. It's a love story. This thing from page one sucks you in. And David, the information you have in here, the detail is staggering. I feel like I'm there. I feel like I'm in 1920s, 30 Newfoundland. Looking at all those boxes behind you in this picture I'm seeing, do you have like notes, or did you just listen to your grandparents talking? How'd you get all this info?
Well, it's we were a very close family, and we talked about the old country kind of quite a bit, and I got all of that. And I was born during the Second World War. So, okay, I'll do the math for you. I'm 120 years old. So I mean, that's, so between that, 1920s and 1940s, I mean, there weren't like a lot of differences. Like St. John's kind of like my childhood. I kind of transport my childhood back into the 20s kind of thing, the things that I did, that plus the stories from my grandparents and things. And so that's where it all came together. And living there, I mean, I was born right down by the harbor. I mean, literally a stone's throw. So my experiences in St. John's were very different from most people. I mean, I spoke Jewish with my Jewish relatives, Lebanese with my Lebanese relatives, and as I call it, good old down east towny drawl. Kind of with the other ones. I had this kind of like no other family was like that. Nobody knew that. I mean, if you go to St. John's, I mean, 99.9% of people don't even know that type of thing existed. They didn't know that it was an immigrant thing. Everybody was English, Irish, kind of that's what it was. And so my world was very different from what was going on. And so I transport that experience back a bit and combine that with the stories. And that's where the story came from. But I'd like to say about this book, the one thing I'd like to mention about this book, regardless of all the things we've been talking about here right now, this is a love story. That's what it is. And it's a multifaceted love story. There are 5 sides to the same story. So it's not a love triangle. There's actually 5 love affairs that are all combined into the story. So it's multifaceted. So it makes it a very interesting kind of read. And a lot of people have really liked it. And Chris has been very supportive.
Wow. 5 at the same. I'm not even good at 1. Uh,
Women know you too well today, Mike.
yeah, that's right. That's right. And I see, oh, the musical background looks fabulous now. Because normally in a studio, it would be very easy to play the song that you were talking about, which growing up on big band, as I said, I played the drums most of my life, but the way I learned was Time Life came out with the history of big band. You know, they had all the big band, of course. So my first drum equipment were brushes, is, you know, and loved it ever since. So reading this, I'm really looking forward to your story as well. Your life story probably is going to be, you know, fascinating as well. And it's been a fabulous, just a great morning here, David. Hopefully I'll get a chance to see you again, maybe in person.
Oh, I'd love that, man. Anytime,
yes.
anytime.
Oh, I would love that. And once again, the book Love Will Out here this morning. Thanks so much, guys, and hopefully we'll see you again and talk to you very soon.
Take care, Mike. See you, Chris.
Take care, sir. Bye-bye.
Another great morning, courtesy of Chris Houston, who never misses. And that will go down as one of my favorite. David Michael, the book called Love Will Out. Tremendous story. Like